nice, easy, quick meal, shrimp scampi. And I think scampi might actually mean shrimp. But first step, you can see I've taken all the shells off the shrimp, off the tails. I've checked the mud veins on each of them. Now the first step I like to do is dry them out really well on this paper towel here. And of all things, Arm & Hammer baking soda. What we're gonna do is we're gonna change the pH of the shrimp a little bit to a more base. It'll make it snappier and better. I prefer Arm & Hammer. I'm not aware that there's any other baking soda out there, but if there is, put it in the comments below. And I'm just gonna dust these a little bit on both sides. Kind of wanna work it in there a little bit. I'm telling you, these will make these really snappy. Anytime you cook shrimp, you're gonna wanna do this, whether you're frying it or putting it on the grill. It just makes it that much better. And all those fancy TV chefs, they never tell you this part. But and there we got the front side, hitting the back side. We're gonna let these sit about 20 minutes until we're ready to use them. And of course, we got a little bit of pasta cooking for this dish tonight. I prefer linguine, a nice wide noodle. We're gonna cook it till al dente, a little bit hard al dente, because it'll finish up cooking in the skillet with all of our good stuff. We're gonna get started on the sauce for the shrimp scampi. We started with 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of oil, and we'll get this melted nice and hot. Then we'll be introducing the pine nuts, my secret ingredient for the shrimp scampi. Interesting fact, in New Mexico we call these piñon, not pinions, and they come from a specific pine tree called a piñon pine. But if you're looking for them in the supermarket, look for pine nuts. If you look for piñon, you won't find it. We've got the butter melting down with the oil. Again, common theme, raising the smoke temperature of that butter. And we're gonna start with the pine nuts or the piñon. We're gonna dump them in there. This is what I think Joel Gibbons used to eat, for you old timers out there. You remember that pine nuts commercial. Boom, that's in. Stir this around, get them coated up. And we're gonna get those to a little bit of color. It's gonna be a few minutes. Another thing we're gonna add now is the onion. Now, you can use a shallot. I didn't have one, so I went with a yellow onion. And a trick that I learned is if you slice it up, chop it up, and then soak it in water for about 20, 30 minutes, you're ready to go. And it'll really cut down on that overpowering onion flavor and make it a little closer to a scallion. So we're gonna throw this in. This was about a half of a small onion, maybe a little less. Throw that in. You can hear that water boiling off. That's how you know they're at really good temperature. Just stir that around. And we're gonna let these things fry up. Before we go any further, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I went with kosher salt here. Just a pinch, because if my doctor's watching, you know I'm really watching my salt. And a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. And let's let these things turn down the heat a little bit. Let these things kind of simmer away so we get a little bit of golden brown color on the pine nuts. Well, it's looking very translucent on the onions, getting a little bit of color on the pine nuts, or piñon if you're playing at home. So I think we're gonna go ahead and add and Jerry doesn't like it, but minced garlic. Go with like 2, a little extra because I like garlic. It's probably 2, 3 cloves, I don't know. Do to your own taste, whatever you like. I'm big on the garlic. And I'll stir that in, and then I'm gonna add the shrimp. Now I rinsed off the brine. I also dried them back out. I know it's a pain in the neck, but we're gonna put these back in. These won't take long to cook. You just definitely don't want to overcook these. And like I said, you can save all those shells and tails for a nice fish sauce additive or broth. But my wife, she hates the tails being on there. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit. We want to cook these things fairly quickly. And once they're cooked, I'm gonna pull them out, and then we'll begin to build our sauce. that you could serve. We're having it over linguine. You could have it on rice, just about anything. And what you're also going to see is that we're saving the pasta water to thin this out. Just like you would save the water from mashed potatoes, excellent in gravy. All that starch gets into the water, and it's very good for a thickening agent. And I always save the pasta water and the potato water for any kind of meal. These babies look about done. I'm looking at the color, and I'm feeling the texture with the spatula. You can see the pinkness. It's firm, not too firm. It's not rubbery. And we're going to actually take these out right now because they're about done. And then we're going to move on to, kind of making this sauce a little bit better. And our first step is going to be, it can be left out. You can use a white wine, dry white wine. You can use a vermouth. That's what we're going to use because I don't have any dry white wine around. And yeah, it's going to really add to it. We're going to add some more butter, some more oil, about another 2 tablespoons of each. And they're going to rest for a little bit. We're going to add the vermouth. Not a lot. Enough to deglaze a little bit. You're going to stir this around, get all those goodies, I think it's called the fond, off the bottom of the pan. And we always talk about salt, fat, and acid, right? Well, we kind of changed the acid content with the baking soda on the shrimp. It made it more of a base. So we're going to need a little bit more acid. Squeeze this in here. I'm going to go with 1 pretty fat lemon. Throw that in there. Second half coming up. And this is all going to cook for a little bit. And I forgot to add 2 secret ingredients that I'll put in right now. We've got some crushed red pepper. Give a little kick to this. Not a lot. You may say that's a lot of pine nuts. It is, but my wife loves them. And so loaded with calories. If you're watching your weight, you want to definitely cut down on those. And well, this one more thing I'm going to add to it, secret weapon, red chili lime seasoning. Put a little New Mexico touch on this. And I think you'll like it. It's optional. Just add a little bit of heat, a little more flavor, a little more acidity. So I think it'll be good. We're going to stir this around, let this cook down for a little bit. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and add the 2 more tablespoons of butter and a little bit of olive oil, about 2 tablespoons. It's probably a little less. I like mine a little more buttery. The big key ingredient in this dish is parsley. Now, I don't have any fresh parsley, so I'm going to add about 1/3 more dry parsley. And we'll be adding more later. You can kind of see it there, giving some color and character to the sauce. Yeah, we'll get that. That's kind of thick, but that's okay because we have our universal thinning agent, the water from the noodles. We'll get this cooked down and see where we're at. That's looking pretty good. You get a nice color there. The butter almost becomes like a brown butter, which is nothing wrong with that, right? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this out just a little bit. You can see it's kind of thick. I'm going to go into our pasta water. Ladle. Throw some of that in there. Maybe 2 ladles. Got a nice sauce there. Stir this in. Oh, that's looking nice. Very similar to my linguine and clam sauce. Very similar. So let's go ahead and add some noodles. Yeah, those noodles are nice and flat. They're gonna pick up that sauce really well. The smell is outrageously good. Yeah, just let that cook for a little bit. I think we're gonna throw the shrimp back in, see how this goes. Also, a good time to add a little more parsley. And then we'll be dusting it with parsley again before we serve. As this gets stirred around, the parsley will kind of just get lost in the sauce. You want to be careful not to overcook your shrimp because they'll get rubbery. And it's been 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I'm just looking to see those noodles get nice and shiny, that you know they're carrying a lot of the sauce. And I think we're ready to plate. You can see that I've dusted this with freshly grated Parmesan cheese, a little additional parsley, and let's give it the old taste test and see how it is. Snappy shrimp, very good. Myself, I maybe would have liked a little more garlic. Try the noodles. Really good, really good. Shredding up some fresh parm over here for use later. And as you can tell, my two faithful, do you guys like Parmesan? Do you want some cheese? And these are never cooked French, or never cooked shrimp. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with this lemon. 30 minutes. You can just, that lime or that lemon kicks in. Friends and family that haven't subscribed or liked or hit the notification bar.